On that issue, Tyler and McKenna, I wanted to address this to you because I know we've talked about this before, and I think you have a very nuanced view on the idea of arrests and the concept of arrests. And I know that we've talked to students at UH about this. What is your feeling on the fact that it would appear, based on the statements from the protesters, from the Kiai, that they will have to be arrested in order for TMT to move forward? Maybe this panel discussion will convince them that TMT is a good thing and they will move, but as far as I can tell, it will not. So what is your feeling on that situation, on what it means to you, what it means to the community, whether it's good, bad, right, wrong, necessary? How does it inform your thinking?
So yeah, Tyler and I have been thinking about this, and here's kind of where we stand. If you want to stand for something in a system that you don't believe in, and you're going to go against the system, right? You acknowledge that the ways that you want to go against it are ways of which you are breaking the law. If you accept that and you say, yeah, this is the plan, this is what we're going to go through, we're going to do it for this purpose, then by doing so, you accept the consequences that come with it. And I think that's a kuleana that you need to accept if you're gonna be involved in this sort of civil disobedience, right? Because you are effectively breaking the law, and if you're gonna get arrested and claim that's not right, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it the way you're doing it then. If you don't want to get arrested, then you shouldn't do the things that are going to get you arrested. I mean, it seems trivial, right? But in this climate, right, and with people protesting for things that they believe, it's fine to disagree with someone. That's okay. But it's when you decide to break the law, then it's like, I'll be honest, I have family up there, and I don't want to see them get arrested. I don't. I'm sure people out here have Ohana up there, and they don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. But, it took me a while to understand this, that they're up there with a purpose and an intent. And with that comes reactions, consequences, responsibilities, right? And, ultimately, if you accept that, then it has to happen. And we as members of that Ohana as well, of that friend group, we need to accept that as well. So it's gonna hurt. But by them being up there right now, and if it happens, when it happens, it's something that, for me, it's gonna hurt, but it's something that I've accepted because they've accepted it. So that's kind of my stance on it. If you want to add anything to it, Tyler.
Yeah, that was just exactly how I feel, and just to reiterate, it is the person's choice. It's very clear how the law works, and I understand that it is painful. It hurts all of us. It hurts the community, but that is their choice. That is their responsibility, and yes. That's all.
Anybody else feel like touching that hot button topic question right there? No? Nobody? Jim? Oh, Jim, come on. No. Oh, there's no question. Jim's like, yes, obviously you need to arrest him.
I think we misunderstand movement politics. No, the point of movement politics is to be arrested. That's the political statement. This is not about avoiding arrest. This is about getting arrested, and that allows you to make your statement. That brings the attention to the issue. It creates a sense of martyrdom or a perception of martyrdom. All of that is part and parcel. This is what you had to sacrifice in South Africa was death. Or the southern United States in civil rights was death. This is small kind. We're not making anyone pay anything. We take cacao up there, and they have more cacao on the mountain than I have. They could live for the next 6 months on the cacao that's up there. And water, and they have luas. This is not the kind of suffering that you went through if you're Nelson Mandela. And so it's a false equivalency to say that my principled position is somehow civil disobedience, and therefore just like the other struggles of Rohingya in Southeast Asia, whether it's Tibetans in their country, or any of a number of people who are risking life. This is small kind for us. But to answer your question, arrest is the point.
Heather.
I thought it was interesting that you're talking about the struggle that they're experiencing now, but sometimes I think about it that I don't think they're up there for the struggle that they're undergoing now. It's the struggle that we as a people have gone through that they're trying to represent in what they're doing.
I love that you two are arguing the most up here right now.
No, I agree. They have conflated it. And to the extent that we do not distinguish between that conflated argument and the actual issue. The conflated argument is Hawaiians have been the victims of an enormous, a series of enormous injustices, is historically facts. We can point to time after time in our history where the government is taken, where their land is taken, where we're denied even the homesteads for our people. But that is not the same to say, therefore, no TMT. So when you conflate those two, that's where I get sort of concerned. And so as an attorney, I am trained to analyze these sorts of problems in a different way. I'm not a scientist, and so I'm not going out there with a completely open mind with a random sample of thousands and thousands of different experiments and then drawing some sort of objective conclusion from that. I don't got that time. We have laws that give us some sort of guidance. And so it's focusing like a laser bomb on what is actually going on, like a laser weapon. Because it's easy if you don't have the rigor of that sort of analysis to then conflate wrongs, and therefore I should listen to you because, yeah, you obviously have been wronged. So let's talk about what? A telescope? Now there's the leap. Now let's talk about health. Let's talk about housing. Let's talk about incarceration and some real steps we have complete control over to address those. Yeah.
So that's where I think we are talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to clarify that TMT is not, as Mailani said, that is not the root of the suffering that they are expressing.
I just see that and express it more clear. That's all. That's the only difference.
Sure you do.
No, yeah, and to be honest, like to add to all of that, I think that's kind of, if I had to, I think the light that came out from the storm, from what I see, is that there is awareness. I remember when I first went to grad school, 2 years ago, I had people who, to be honest, quite frankly, still thought we lived in huts. I know that's some stereotype, but I'm not even lying.
No, somebody definitely accused me of riding a dolphin to school. Actually, I told him I rode a dolphin to school once, and he believed me because he was...
But to be honest, fast forward to when Tyler and I, we went to the summer school in Amsterdam, and people were coming to us, asking us questions and actually saying that, oh yeah, we read about this, about the history, this and that, and there was just more awareness to the problem. And I think if there's one thing that I can say I appreciate is that awareness, because as both of you guys pointed out, and I'm sure most of us in here would agree, that there were a lot of injustices, to Hawaiians throughout history, and we can point to those times. So would I say that this movement was for naught? No way. Absolutely not. I think something came out of it. Would I say taking the telescope down will solve all of that? I say no.
What is the answer to movement politics, Jim, in your mind? I mean,
it's framing the issue. If you ask the question whether Hawaiian practitioners have the same obligation to share the mountain with permittees, then that's a different conversation. See, otherwise, right now it's one-sided. My belief denies your access, even though you have a lawful right. So if you ask the question properly, whether you have the right as a practitioner to deny or share access to the mountain, I think then the answer is easier to reach. because otherwise you're addressing other issues and not that one. You're addressing the issue of, the overthrow of the government, for example, or whether it's denial of access to water if you're a lo'i taro farmer, or it's the lack of housing and you can't even get on the list, or if you're on the list, you die waiting for Hawaiian homesteads. There are a countless number of these. If we had 5 minutes to think about it, we'd come up with several dozen. So if we allow the question to be framed correctly, which is another way of saying precisely, not opposing any view, do practitioners have an obligation to share the mountain with scientists? Then you can reach a logical conclusion. There's no authority that allows practitioners to deny lawful access. None. It is an unsupportable position to have. Now, you don't have to like it, because there was a demand for due process for 11 years. And everyone who's against it had the opportunity and did testify. And that evidence was taken, and a conclusion was reached, and then that went up on appeal to the Supreme Court, which finally ruled the permits are legal.